Now, you say when you were 17 years old, what can you remember what it was you were doing at the time of Pearl Harbor?
I turned 17 a week before Pearl Harbor, and then.
Can you remember what you were doing or when you heard about?
Well, see, Southern California, as you probably know, was always back in those days was a Navy country. We had bases all up in San Diego, all the way up here. So probably 9 out of 10 that ever went in the service before the war went in the Navy. Okay, and then, of course, even then we had March Air Force Base at Riverside, but we were Navy territory, and so when and at those days you could go in at 17 with parents' permission. My friend Terry McCune, who neighborhood boy I grew up with. He was just fun, walked out with his family, and they were having a tough time. So he turned 17 in February of the 42, and so he enlisted in the Navy. And he spent a career there, and he enlisted, and then he finally was commissioned near retirement age. And then the John Laughlin, Jim Razor, and Tote, who got interned, we said, we're going to, at 18 you had to register for the draft. And of course, in the Southern California area, there were a lot of people who volunteered, they call it voluntary induction. And that beats being inducted straight into infantry. So
that's why my
a little selection of what you want to do.
Why my grandfather had told me he chose to enlist so he wouldn't have to go, he'd have a choice where he could go.
So in the fall of 42, the three of us went up to Cal, and of course we had the ROTC, and then about March of 43, I'd registered at 18 to go in, and the draft board says you're getting close. And I said, how close? He said, a couple of weeks. I said, can I got to half of the semester there, and I got to that. But anyway, I said, can I transfer back down to Whittier? And he said, sure. So he gave me a letter, and Jim Razor said, I'm going to stay until the draft meeting. He was Whittier too. John Laughlin was smart. He went to the Naval ROTC, so he got to stay. But anyway, so I went back down to Whittier, and with the draft board, young, elderly lady that I knew, and my father knew, you know, and I said, here I am. And she said, okay. I said, well, I'm ready. She said, you got a long ways to go. I said, how come? Well, he said, I get volunteers every day. He said, you're probably 30, 60 days away. So I couldn't go back to college. so I thought, well, maybe there's something better to do. So I noticed the paper came up about the cadet program. It was over the old Pacific Electric Building, 6th and Main in Los Angeles, the headquarters. So I sat over there and took the mental exam, went down to San Diego and got the physical and so forth. I said, I'm ready, you know. He said, well, you got quotas. So, how if they cut? Well, maybe once a week, maybe once a month. And I said, but I might get drafted, so we can't stop that. So the interesting thing was that, so I keep checking in with them about every day or two, you know, and then check with the draft board, and you know, the times are coming down, and the draft lady says, yeah, I can't hold back much longer. Maybe probably within the next week. So I called over there, and they said, yeah, we got a quota, come on over here. And I zapped over there, you know, and I said, I'm ready. They said, well, we have to swear you in. I got my arm up in the air, you know. And they said, no, we're going to do it this Saturday on the stage of the Paramount Theater in Los Angeles. I said, I might be drafted. So that Saturday, I got up at 6 in the morning. Our meal came about 11. I said, drove over there and sat in the parking lot for about 3 hours.
So you were trying to beat the clock. You wanted to enlist before you got drafted.
Well, get drafted versus enlisting as a cadet.
Right.
So at noon we had the ceremony, big deal. I drove home and my dad was smiling and he was holding up a letter. And I said, I got sworn in. He said, guess what I got drafted up?
Oh, really?
So I looked at I'm already in. So I came that close to being drafted.
Wow.
And then I went on to training.
Okay. Now, I know you B-24 crews had to go through quite a bit of training, like you mentioned. Can you explain maybe from the beginning where, when you enlisted, when you were actually on duty or with the U.S. Air Corps, where you went? Where did you go? Army Air Corps. Where did you go from there? Where was your first experience with camp?
When I went as a flying cadet, my flying experience was 15 minutes in a Piper Cub.
That was
looking around at a fair. And we went to basic training, as your grandfather did, and went to basic training, and then we all went to what they call college training department. That was 3 years at a college. I don't know where Pinky went, but I was in Salt Lake for basic, and so
just the white paper. I think I listed here where, I don't know if you printed that part out, but maybe you didn't.
I don't think it said exactly where. I
just had like a timeline.
I don't think so.
It's not in here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you went to a college to train.
In those days, about 42, 43, everybody had the same training. But virtually nobody graduated in less than 1 year.
Okay.
No matter bombardier, navigator, pilot. So I went from basic training in Salt Lake.
Well, that's where you had basic.
So now, see, they had three. They had the West Coast, the Central Coast, and the Eastern Coast training commands, they called them. So I'm at Salt Lake City. They had college and training detachments and colleges all over the Pacific Coast.
Okay.
So they shipped me all the way to Marietta, Ohio. So now I'm on the Eastern training.
Yeah.
So, but it was nice. Summer of '43, beautiful place, and the townspeople treated us wonderfully. So at three months, that was to stabilize the educational level, because we had people just graduating high school, some college graduates, and some older who had never even gone to college. So they wanted to stabilize us, in physics and aeronautics and all these various things. So that was a very pleasant time. So then I'm on the East Coast. So then we have to go to what's called classification. Again, Santa Ana, San Antonio, and someplace down in Alabama. So I'm thinking we have to go to Alabama. And of course, whenever you travel those days, you always got on the train at night. You didn't know where you were going, and you either go for a day or 2 days or 3 days, because you knew that. So we ended up in San Antonio. I said, well, at least I'm going the right direction.
Yeah.
So we got to San Antonio, and I don't know if all of our squadron, as it were, at Marietta, all went to San Antonio or not. But because there you're just one of many. So again, all the same tests all over again, all the same physicals all over again, more shots, and so forth. And then we had they call it psychological counseling, and which I couldn't even remember what it was now. Then they had psychomotor. They had a record going, had a little spot, and you had to trace that with your finger. That shows you. I don't know what it showed there.
Yeah, I heard about psychomotor.
So after all this, they said you had 3 choices: pilot, navigator, and bombardier. So I was planning on going back to college then, so I figured navigator would give me the most educational training, and of course most everybody wanted to be a pilot.
Right.
See? And of course that was kind of hazardous. So I said I went navigator first, pilot second, bombardier third. So I took the test. That's the way it came out. So then now I'm in San Antonio, and they had navigation schools on the same places, So again, middle of the night with a barracks bag, I get in the train, and about 2 hours later I get off the train at a little place called, beg your pardon. First, then I went down to Ellington Field at Houston. That's pre-flight. That's 2 months. Everybody had basically the same thing. More map rating, code, taking code, aircraft identification, all this kind of stuff, and then of course marching all the time. So I spent 2 months down there, and then again from there I hopped on the train, and lo and behold, a few hours later I'm in San Marcos, Texas, which is a little town about halfway between Austin and San Antonio, and beautiful little town. There's nothing there, but anyway. So then we went there, and we had the training there. We had what they call AT-7s, Pinky trained in AT-11, same airplane, but they had a bomb sight in the nose, where we had 3 cadets in a row, each had our own compass and so forth. And then we took all of our weather and weather training and Arctic flying and all kinds of stuff like that. And our instructors were, one instructor was a second lieutenant. He just graduated a few while before. And then we had a first lieutenant. First lieutenant was a big guy in those days. And so we went through 4 months there. And so that was looking good. So, but I'm still in the central area. Am I going to go east? Am I going to go west? And I wasn't anxious to go east because that's England and Italy, and that's where people will get killed.
Right.
And I'd rather go to the Pacific. So we went to finished up cadets, and we either got commissioned a second lieutenant or a flight officer. Nobody really knows how they did that, but they were, even during the war, they had restrictions on the number of officers.
Okay.
So a flight officer was kind of halfway in between. And of course, that meant 6 months, a year later, they moved to second lieutenant. Most all of them made first lieutenant before they came home. But anyway, so from there, I got ordered, and there was, see, I was in there, everything was alphabetical. I was UVXYZ. And so the whole gang of us, about 7, we got sent to Hammerfield and Fresno. Boy, we're going in the right direction. So we went there, and then again, we could have gone to Walla Walla, Washington, Tonopah, Urot, or March Field. So, as we usually did, I collected up $5 from everybody, and we bought up a corporal there. Corporals ran everything in those days. And we had all the big line, and they first said, okay, Tonopah. Oh God, we don't want Tonopah.
That's Nevada, right?
And then Walla Walla. Oh. Of course, we keep getting back in the line. When's March? He said, I don't know, but I said, look, I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but we're just going to keep backing up. But when you know they're going to, you just got to do something like this. So,
Here's a high sign.
And now we're kind of getting here. He goes like that. Zoom, here we are. So we all go to March Field.
Oh, okay.
So we got trained there, and of course, my only flying time had been, well, at college training test, by the way, we did have 10 hours of flying in a paper cup. And when I had 10 hours, the pilot, the trainer I had said I was qualified to solo. That didn't build too much confidence. But anyway, so we got to Hammerfield, and we said, hot dog, we're going to go to the Pacific. So we got there, and then from there they sent. See, we went to March, got through training at March. Then I said, we're going right now. And we got transferred to Hamilton up by San Rafael. God. In Hamilton, they would fly new B-24s in and the crew up, and you'd fly to the Pacific.
Oh.
So, lo and behold, they gave us our orders, both of our crews, Dixon and Poston, and hot dog, we're ready, where's our plane? They said, well, here's your orders. Midnight, on the train, 7 days and 7 nights later, we're in Miami Beach, Florida.
Oh.
They were probably sending people from there back out to the West Coast.
Yeah. Who can't understand their logic, right?
So we spent a few days, of course, it was nice with swimming and everything. Anyway, so we got on a plane there and took off, lost an engine, had to come back, got a new airplane, and while we're at Miami, collected up some money again, Corporal. And I said, we do an APO. He said, I don't know whether I find out where this APO is. So finally he said, it's Karachi, India. Karachi, India. I said, is that good? They said, I don't know. So away we went. And so we ended up attending. And we were very happy about that because, as you probably know from Pinky's experience, our bombing missions, we had some formation mission, probably one out of our 4 or 5. We flew 15,000, 16,000. What we hated is when we flew a joint mission with the B-29s there. Because they'd fly at 20,000, we'd fly at 15,000.